So, today, I want to show you what we're doing here in our laundromat. Here, as you know, water and the purity is very important to us. And not only at the Susan&SoullasHomestead, but here at our business, which in New York State, you're required to clean your water before you put it back out. Well, we had a lot of issues, and I actually had a company. God knows you don't want to know how much I paid, and they installed a system for a few hundred, and it didn't work, had problems, and I had to cut it out, throw it in the garbage, and I rebuilt it myself. And one of the things I did is we doubled the amount of filters, made it possible to backwash, and added these plant filters. We had some issues in the beginning on them working properly. Here's there. But now we have the right mix of plants and everything is doing amazing. So if you saw these other earth boxes that we had, that I just pulled in, I'll pull them in. We're going to install them up in the plants. And basically what happens is the dirty water from the laundromat comes in, it gets super filtered, special grease filters, and then it goes outside to 2 tanks in the ground where it settles, and then it comes back in here where we filter through here, and then it goes through there, which have bio balls on it that are used for ponds and cleaning it out, but it works great here. And then everything else has carbon in it, over $7,000, 3,000 pounds. It's crazy. We got to change it once or twice a year, and we're coming up on that. But one of the things we did, and I want to illustrate the power of the plants again, is I used to have to change this 2 or 3 times a year. By adding these plant filters, you get soap and grease digesting bacteria. And only a very small portion of the water goes through these every time it comes on. And when I backwash it, I flood them. I'll show you what I do as I'm backwashing, so that the dirtiest water goes through all these root systems. And then a tiny little bit, it all comes back to here, which has aerators in it flowing. I also have aerators running outside, inside the tanks in the ground, because this healthy life depends on oxygen, and you need to circulate it. So then it comes back through here, and there's ever so small trickle, always feeding it, always seeding the system of the healthy bacteria as the dirty water goes through. So we had such a good thing with these philodendrons growing. We're going to add some more in some earth boxes where we're going to sit them in the water up there, and then as I flush in the soapy water now when I clean everything and fill it up, it'll fill up the tanks, and then they'll slowly eat it, and then they'll feed the system down here, and we get super clean water. Hold on. All right, so here's a better thing, better view. We used to use water hyacins, and that's a really good plant right there. It works great outside, but I don't know, it didn't do as well as here, so we switched over to start taking some of the jungle out of our aquaponics center and using that, and even clover. Look, this is holy basil. So we experimented with throwing some seeds, as you can see. That might even be a type of kale. We're gonna throw different seeds. Look, there's duckweed living in there. So now we created this environment, and as you can see, when the water goes through it, the roots grow, and they heal up everything. It's a work in progress. It's funny. This stuff looks gooey or whatever, but you can see the water. It's important. This is like creating a whole little ecosystem and learning what plants. We're gonna throw some more seeds in here and see what else grows, but I'm gonna put those earth boxes in here. So the water is only here, and when I fill it up, it maybe gets a few inches up. So putting the earth box in here, when I do the backwash and the water fills up, it'll fill up the bottom of the earth box, feed it full of its soapy water, flow through, go through the system, help it, and continue to help filter our plants. And they're growing great. So here it is again. Here's some plants. This is what we did with our home aquaponics system. We rooted these plants, and now we'll stick them just in the water, which you just saw. But this is what we're doing with the earth boxes. So we're going to put it so it only fills up through this weep hole. And when the water comes in, it'll fill up the bottom, fill it with water, they'll drink it, filter it, And then it will put the good goo-goos in there, start digesting the soap naturally. It has saved us a ton of the money and made our water pass all its tests crystal clear. So I'm going to take a few more of these and I'm going to stuff them in there with the roots before I put those other boxes in here. All right, so I put a few spacers so it sits here, so it's not sitting in the water per se until I fill that back up and the line goes up, and then it'll fill the reservoir in here. Not any of this. So all the plants can grow, and then it'll fill up with soapy water and continue to grow. All right, so here we're at the other one. I'm gonna put some plants in. As you can see, duckweed. The water hyacinths have failed, but the new philodendrons, they are doing incredible. I mean, there's some water hyacinths. One thing we did recently, which supercharged it, and we're gonna add more, is put more AC Infinity. It is the best. If whatever you want to grow inside your house, outside your house, it's great. We had these left over from some aquaponic equipment, but we're going to put more AC Infinity like that out to here so it can grow further. And then eventually put another one there and put another one up there. So I'm going to stick some of these plants in here, and then I'm going to do the same thing here where I stick the other box. All right, so I mixed it up a little. So these are the new clones, but you can see the old clones. Look at that growth. Look at the aerial roots. They're just amazing. And now this whole thing will start getting covered with roots. See? Look at the new growth. This was dying. And here's the new one. This one doesn't have as much depth, so I didn't have to put it in there. But as you can see, I'm filling it up, so it will go in the weep hole, but it won't go up here. It'll only fill up the reservoir. And this guy will grow. And as you can see, here's one we've had in here. And then the other one. And the power of plants. All right, so our prototype is finally working. Took a few months to get the right mix and plants, and if we had more space and oxygen and reservoirs. But as you can see now is earlier, look how soapy and dirty the water is. And then you can see the water that's flowing through there's a little soapy. But it's also, like I say, it's seeding the tanks outside. It's seeding the water, and it has to go through everything a good another 7 times in here. And that's what we're trying to do here, is constantly seed the water, constantly have it, because if you put the water in there all the time, you'll kill the plants. You have to kind of feed it. I had a company that I was using. They wanted something like $1,400 for this pump unit and this big time thing where they would inject proprietary bacteria that digest it, and then it was going to be like $700 a month that I would have to get barrels and then hook it up to the system, and it would basically do the same thing I'm doing now, but feed it in. People, you don't need to do that. It's already in the plants, especially with philodendrons, water hyacinths, duckweed. If you set up reservoir tanks and you flow your dirty water through there slowly and then give it a chance to sit and for all the roots and everything to work on it, and then run it through a polishing. Like I said, you have to run it through a polishing carbon filter. We need so much because it's a higher volume. And then once again, you'll turn filthy water into that. All right, so here's what the water looks like as it's coming in. You can see it's gray. Got a little bit, there's like greasy bubbles, very foamy. And then we turn it into that. From that, so once again, we went from the water there. You can see the foam is already being eaten up and broken down. That's a lot just from circulating. And this is where we have to send out our tests, which is the water that's going out. That's tested every month and back into our leaching fields. Whoa, and that's what we got. There's actually, which is interesting, after it's clean, up in there, I think there's frogs living in there. There's a hole or two in this, as you can see. A lot of things are prototype and not finished, and frogs from the outside got inside and they started living in here and eating the bugs and stuff. I'd find them stuck to the filter, and I'll start showing pictures. They're gonna come out in the spring again and they'll be in here. But once again, the power of plants.